Are we excited? We're back for season. I mean, people have been very excited about season 3 so far.
I've literally been inundated with messages of joy.
I mean, I can't keep up with all the texts I've been getting. Oh, another one just went off. It was it was Joe Biden. He said, "Good job, superstar."
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Oh, it just went off again. It was Celine Dion. She said, I am French."
Oh my gosh, I just got one. It's John Krasinski. He says,
Far out.
What did he say?
He
What
said,
did he
wow,
say?
you're doing a really amazing job of sharing good news with the world. Thank you, John Krasinski.
Oh, did he say anything else?
He said, thanks for giving me material for the next episode of my show.
Hello and welcome to Good for a Change. This is a podcast where we aim to combat the awful everyday news you hear with stories that will make you smile. I did that with a smile. Could you tell?
That was worse than last week, to be honest.
I could hear the smile.
It was worse than last week's, Hollie.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oof.
My name is Jarrod. Hi. And with me is Hollie.
Hi, Hollie.
And also with me is Sean.
Hello.
Could you look any more distracted at the moment, Hollie?
I am very distracted.
You were very distracted.
That's how I thrive.
Look, let's move on. Let's talk about some good news. And I'm going to go first this week.
Ooh.
Look, guys, if you're anything like me, you have the remarkable skill to do the impossible.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I have that.
No, I can't fly. No, I can't control things using only my mind. I have the impossible ability to kill a cactus and other unkillable plants. I really do. It's lucky for me, then, that Lego have released an 878-piece bonsai tree.
Oh.
It was a Lego Ideas creation, part of their Lego Botanical collection. So if you're like me and bad at plants, Lego have an entire stack of different unkillable plants to build.
Because they're made of Lego.
Because they're made of Lego, and I don't have to worry about watering them or making sure they get enough sun or overwatering them like I did with my last cactus, which was beautiful. It lasted 12 months.
Well, that's
I'll
pretty
give
good
myself
going.
credit for that. And then all of a sudden, it just collapsed in on itself like a souffle.
Oh no.
Classic.
And it got brown, and so Mum's like, put it outside, see if that gets at anything. And I put it outside, and it just dried out, and it was dead within about 3 days.
Yeah.
Now, once again, because this is the most visual show, I'm going to show a photo while I get that up. Sean, again, would you like to tell people where they can find it?
You can see all the visual elements of our show, which are very frequent for a podcast, over
sorry about that.
on our Instagram, which you can find at Good for a Change Podcast. Just check us out on Instagram. Lots of fun things to see from our previous episodes on there.
There it is.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's quite pretty, isn't it?
What I love is that they've done the two versions. So you can have the very traditional green bonsai version, or you can have the cherry blossom version, and you can build them either one. I think that's a really clever thing that they've done there.
I can't believe how expensive bonsai trees are, because I quite like having plants around in my bedroom, right? But again, I kill them because I'm bad at plants. So I have looked a couple of times and think, bonsais, they're relatively hard to kill. I mean, they've been around for years and they're pretty small.
Your Emma wouldn't say that, Sean.
No.
So I've gone to a couple of places and gone, oh yeah, I'll get one of them. And then you look at the price of them and I'm like, oh, I can't commit to that much money when I'm probably going to kill it.
That's the thing.
But a Lego bonsai, I think it was about $50. I can do it. That I can do. So I'm just going to cover my house, make my house look like a jungle, but it's all just going to be Lego.
And they've made Lego more sustainable. So it's not as good for the environment as a real tree, but it is less bad for the environment as petrol Lego.
Yeah, they've started making a more natural-based plastic, and they did start releasing them in plant form. Yeah, it was green. They're green bricks. Certain green bricks and certain plant shapes were done in this natural plastic. I don't know how far it's rolled out in the company yet, but it would be cool if it was in these botanical ranges, that's for sure.
The botanical range is so... The flowers, I've seen the flowers. I've not seen the bonsai. That's real cool.
Yeah.
But the flowers are really, really beautiful. They're like really intricate, clever Lego builds.
I'm just impressed anytime I see anything like this. Like again, that was one of the Lego Ideas creations, so someone's come up with that. But just how intricate they are.
It's nice to see them doing these different sets that are a bit more like... Because a lot of Lego is display or playable or those kind of things, and it's quite like a stand. Whereas like the flowers, you do need to put them in like a vase or something.
Yeah.
And it's a really different sort of build
It's like
style.
an independent piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like they're now doing those. I don't particularly like them very much, but those like adult art ones.
Yeah.
And it's like the you can do
The
like
dots,
the
yeah.
dots with like Darth Vader or
Marilyn Monroe.
or the Beatles or Mickey Mouse.
There's a Mickey Mouse one that I like.
And it's like pixel art or diamond art kind
Yeah.
of thing, but with Lego. And it does, I think, create like quite a classy looking product at the end of it. And again, just a very different Lego build style than what Lego used to output as their product as being like you build a house with it
They're
kind
really
of thing.
mixing it up.
Yeah. And that's good to see because like that's what a lot of people on the internet or out in the world have been doing with Lego, is finding all these interesting ways of building with it. And now it's good to see Lego sort of like reflect that in their products.
Well, I've spoken before about my love for Lego, and I believe one of the last episodes of last season, I talked about the Sesame Street Lego set that was going to come out.
Yes.
I don't know if it had come out at that point.
No,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was like about to come out.
It was about to come out, but I have since had it, and I have since built it. And I don't want to, claim I'm a celebrity. But Lego did like my post, the official Lego
Ooh.
thing. And as I only discovered today while getting my picture of the bonsai tree up, if you go to the official Lego website, and if you click on the Sesame Street set, there's a thing called fan builds or something like that, or fan made, and 2 of my photos are on the official website.
This is like the time that you were on the telly.
So I don't want to say
That you're 100% famous.
that I'm 100% famous.
You're definitely a B-lister, though.
I'm
Like-
definitely like in the 80s.
Yeah, you're climbing.
You'll be on
Yeah.
I'm a Celebrity next year.
Oh, 100%.
Without a doubt. And I will definitely call I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here within the first 10 minutes when I see a spider.
Fair enough.
I know far too much about I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here when I have watched maybe about 10 minutes of it for the year.
It's like when you talk about I'm a Celebrity, I'm not interested. And then the second it's on the television, I'm like, this is the most captivating television in the world. It's when they do the thing where they're on like a giant slip and slide and they have to catch the stars and there's like water running down. Every year that is the best challenge.
My favourite thing is that somehow we went from talking about bonsai Lego to I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. The natural progression. I'm very impressed.
That's the joy of our podcast.
If we're talking about natural progression, my friend, do I have a story for you?
Ooh, I'm so excited. That was such a good segue.
Yeah, we'll see if the segue actually pulls together.
If it holds up.
Let's see. So my story this week is about cockatoos.
Okay.
Goffin cockatoos in particular. And they have been doing some research with the Goffin cockatoos in Vienna at the veterinary medicine center in Vienna.
Sounds like a very official title there, Holly.
Yeah.
Sorry, and what kind of cockatoos are they?
They are Goffin cockatoos.
Okay, I thought you said Gotham, like Batman.
They're bats.
I'm a cockatoo.
They wear big masks and they can't actually fly. They just jump and hope for the best.
They do have a lot of money, though.
They are often followed by a little robin.
They're little, the little white ones with the blush cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're those ones, the little cute ones. So they have been doing some research with them at the Goffin Centre, which sounds like, and I'm not going to lie, the Batcave now, wherein they have been watching these cockatoos. These cockatoos are completely bred in captivity. And they're looked after. It's like a nice centre. Their wings aren't clipped or anything. They are free to do kind of whatever they want. So the thing to know about cockatoos is that they, in captivity, don't learn how to like make tools. They don't have the appropriate beaks to like pick up things and things like that. But what they have noticed is one cockatoo called Figaro has started to make tools and use tools.
Interesting.
He would pick up like a stick and then he could like move rocks and stuff like through the cage, and then they swapped this rock out with a cashew and he ripped a piece of this stick off the thing that the cashew was on and like swooped the cashew into his cage. And this is really interesting because they haven't learnt this from anywhere because they are completely bred in captivity. But Figaro has been teaching 15 of his friends how to also do this. And so all of these cockatoos, without having learnt it from, like, it's not innate information that they've got, have learnt this skill. And what is important about this is that they essentially have the brain power of, like, a 3-year-old human.
Okay, that's interesting.
You can't see my little shocked face there because, as previous listeners of the show might know, I am not a fan of birds. And suddenly this idea of birds ganging up together, learning skills which involve, like, whittling sticks into tools, we'll put in quotation marks, because tools could suddenly become weapons, and then I'm afraid of bird attacks.
You're afraid of bird gangs. Maybe you should become like a Batman for the Gotham cockatoos. Like, stopping the bird gangs.
I must admit, during Hollie's explaining of the creation of tools, I was just thinking that maybe they need a little, like, tool belt. And then it's like, batarang!
You're annoying. This is a huge scientific movement. And you're like, oh, maybe they need a batarang. No, they don't.
My favourite part, though, was like, at least these guys are doing something collective, like, for the collective good. Because you remember last season, I told a story about a bunch of parrots that were swearing at each other.
Yeah. This is similar. They're
So
not
at least
the
these
same.
ones have like, let's stop doing that. Let's have the construction worker type ethic without the construction worker language.
So do you know any other things they're able to do with their tools? Or...
Well, so...
Is this, you said that really like apprehensive, like what else couldn't they
I'm
just
worried.
repair yourself?
Where are they
I'm very
from?
worried that they're going to be like, oh, well, actually, they've managed to, you know, escape out of a cage and pick locks. You know, it's like,
They know how to open doors now.
They know how to stab humans.
So if you can imagine their beaks have, like, almost a teardrop shape hole between the top and the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it really isn't, like, conducive for grabbing things. So that beak was used to, like, smash nuts open and, you know, things
Eyeballs.
like that. Eyeballs, for example. Yeah, lots.
See, Hollie and I, we're safe. We have glasses,
Yeah.
so we're going to be fine. Sean, you're screwed.
We're protected against the Gotham cockatoo.
I don't need these glasses. I just wear them to prevent Gotham cockatoos from pecking my eyes out.
Yeah, so it's basically... tools is a strong word. It's, like, bits of stick, and they use them as, like...
Drills. Those sort of tools.
hammers, you know. They're doing their best. Hand saws.
angle grinders.
Sanders.
They constructed their own cage.
Yeah, that is what is going on
Very
here.
impressive.
And they have started to fight crime.
Yeah, it's when they start using them for evil, Sean, that you're screwed. This might be my favourite story we've ever told, purely from where we've gone with it. This is great.
Yeah, I just thought that was really cool. And they basically say the overarching thing here is that, like, this is amazing that these birds are that clever and that they can learn amongst themselves. But it also says, like, cockatoos are really difficult pets. Imagine for 40 years having a 3-year-old that you need to keep entertained. Please remember that when you get a cockatoo. So
That's fair enough.
if there's any advice that I can pass on from this podcast, it's unless you want to hang out with a 3-year-old for 40 years, cockatoo might not be the best pet.
Well, that's like the friends of ours that had that bird that used to be a
Oh,
lovely
yeah.
little bird. They used to have this lovely little bird. It was a very pleasant bird. It used to sit on your shoulder, all those kind
Parrot,
of
I
things.
think.
Yeah, some parroty, lovebirdy kind of thing. And then one day it got sick. And when it got sick, it lost, like, all its feathers. So it was nude. So when we met the bird...
Except for its head.
Except for its head. It was nude, which was the funniest thing because if you've ever seen how birds, like, move on a cage or, you know, they, like, lean forward on sticks and those kind of things, and they seem very balanced when they have a tail. And it seems like, yep, the tail is as long as the head, so it looks very balanced and normal. But when they do it without their feathers, they don't have a tail like that, so it doesn't look like gravitationally it should make sense.
On a stick.
Yeah. But when this bird suddenly got nude through illness, it became the crankiest bird ever and was no longer a friend and just became vicious.
And it would peck you, and then it would... it did a lot of wolf whistling.
Yeah.
It did an awful lot of wolf whistling, and it would do it when it was, I think, annoyed and also in the nighttime.
So, yeah. So if you can imagine having a 3-year-old, then imagine having a 3-year-old running through the house naked wolf whistling.
Classic birds. Get on it, Medusa.
There you go. Well, look, birds... I mean, look, I'll tell you now, birds don't last long in my house. We've had some birds in our time, and they don't last long. I don't think. I think our house is like a Bermuda Triangle for birds. Like they come here and then they just go nah, I'm gonna go. They either fly away, or they shuffle off their mortal coil. My nan had a bird for 15 years.
Oh.
She went away. We kept the bird here. Anyway, Sean, what story you got for us?
Seems like the smartest idea. Well, I can progress on if we'd like.
Beyond the birds.
I definitely think we need to go beyond the dead birds.
Cool. Well, much like the birds managed to construct tools, my story is also a bit about construction. There we go. Found a link. And mine is about a very classic Australian thing, and it's the newest of these classic Australian things. And that is... What?
Me.
No, not you. My story is about the town of Caelan in... It's in Queensland, it's north of Mackay, and they have just recently unveiled Australia's latest big thing.
Oh,
because we love a big thing in Australia, oversized
I want to guess.
tourist attractions.
I want to guess.
Okay,
it is.
yeah, go on. Try and guess what the big thing is.
Let's have a guess. I reckon it's going to be the big candy cane.
No, unfortunately not.
Hollie?
The big... What have I not seen? Lemon.
I only said candy cane because I've got one sitting in front of me. I was going to say the big Scrooge McDuck figurine.
I don't think they could get the rights to that.
Unfortunately, it is none of those things. They have unveiled the big thongs.
Hey!
Oh, there we go.
For any listeners coming from America.
Or the UK.
Or the UK.
Or anywhere I think that isn't here.
Yeah, you may be confused. There's not a giant G-string out in this town. Although, maybe we should do that. Giant G-string. That could put us on the map. Anyway, they are a pair of flip-flops or jandals or whatever you call them wherever you're from. Big giant pair of those, because Australians love a pair of thongs. That's what we call them here. And
I do love my thongs.
Yeah, so the...
Stop it. Season 3.
There's nothing not funny about the fact that they're called thongs here.
Yeah.
Why are they called that? Because...
Well, I think
I
they
feel
do
like
the same
the
thing as what a
word-
G-string does, in the sense of if you think about the piece that goes between the toes
suppose
as
it
being
does.
like the bit that goes between the butt cheeks, and then the bit that comes off, it sort of does look like a G-string. Anyway.
I'm going to look up the etymology of the word, see what came first.
I'm going to get on to John Krasinski and really get my
Get your contract
my job
going.
with him going so I can leave here.
Anyway, they came up with this big pair of thongs because some mates were sitting around in the pub and they were like, oh, it'd be great if there were some more people at the pub. The publican was behind it. Just for a little fun fact, the publican's name, well, his nickname is Butto, because I think his last name is Butlin. So I'm really not helping you.
Goodness sake.
But it was designed by a local artist named Lionel Knott, and he had never really done a big...
Got a knot in his thong?
Knickers in a knot. He'd never done...
Oh, that was such a better joke. Well
He'd
done.
never done a sculpture before, but they were like, let's make this. Took 4 months.
I honestly feel like that is the case with all of them, because when you go see them, the one that I have in my mind as a particularly dodgy statue is the big koala between SA and Victoria.
Yeah.
That thing's real
the
weird looking.
weirdest looking koala I've ever seen in my life.
Well, these thongs are 2.5 meters high, and they're pretty big, and they took 4 months, and they're there now. They were unveiled recently, so if you're driving through Caelan, stop in at the pub, check out the big thongs. But
And how tall are they?
2.5 meters.
Wow,
Oh, that's a big thong.
So Hollie just mentioned the big koala. I thought we could talk about some of the other big things, because it is quite an Australian thing to have these.
Why
big
is
things.
that?
I don't know. I think because like the big banana is arguably the most famous in Coffs Harbour.
Or the big pineapple, I would say.
Yeah, I would say the big pineapple is the
Okay.
one that I was aware of.
Okay. See, yeah, all right. So look, big banana, big pineapple. I mean, there's big. You can get. I don't know. There's the big lobster is somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw the big crab once,
The
didn't
big
we?
crab.
We did see a big crab. I don't think we saw the big crab, but we
But it
did
was
see a big crab. We saw the giant gumboot,
We did see the giant gumboot, the golden gumboot.
golden gumboot, which is pretty exciting. Had a green
We
tree
saw
for
the
climbing.
giant mango, the big mango.
Yeah, the big mango in Bowen.
There's a big worm.
There is the big worm.
where's the
Although I
big
don't know if the
worm?
big worm's
Big
there
worm.
anymore. They may have taken.
No, but
big
that
worm
was
down on the way to
that
Phillip
was
Island.
not overly. Yeah, I can say not overly far from where I live. About a half-hour drive from here.
Is
There's
the
a
big
worm.
gnome one of them?
The
Do
big
you
gnome.
think that counts?
No, I don't know. We used to have
I don't know. See,
a gnome sculpture.
So
near us.
I'm playing a game at the moment on my iPad. It's called Cody Cross. It's a little bit like it's not a crossword, but it kind of is. And quite often, a lot of the clues are, this town hosts the big something, or like the big gumboot, the big whatever it is. And a lot of them, you go, okay, yeah, fair enough. And there's a lot that I've just never heard of before. That I wonder if whoever's making this game just typed in big things in Australia and went, oh yeah, the big thongs, or the big, like, as silly as something like the big lavender plant or something, and just someone made like a 1.5 meter lavender plant and put it in their front yard. And it's like, that's not a thing. That's not a big thing.
I think it is.
Because I feel like the scale of the gnome warrants it being a big thing. But I feel
Well,
like
how
it's
big does it have
not
to be
rubbish
before
enough.
we call it the big something?
To make it that's the thing. It's like to make it a tourist attraction. Like it really has to be like quite big. I think.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know where we were driving. I think it was when we were driving from Melbourne to Adelaide. We saw, and this had a pin on the Google Maps as a really important thing that we might want to see in this town. And it was the Land Rover on a stick. And it was a normal Land Rover on like maybe a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, it did what it said on the tin.
But like, how did that get a pin on the thing and the giant gnome
I don't know.
has not?
Don't know.
Well, the thing is, as well, like with Google Maps, anyone can put anything on anywhere.
That's
Like
true.
you just have to, like you do have to put in an application for it. But they probably just went, oh, okay, there's a Land Rover on a stick, cool. And then I think whoever does it can then make it look important.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was the
and I
vibe.
mean, I'm impressed from a Land Rover on a stick.
And I think the thing with all these,
How did they get it on the stick?
true.
How does it stay on the stick?
the thing with all these big things is that they are designed to get you to stop into towns and spend a little bit of money there, but also like to take a break when driving.
It's often
Australia's a big country.
Farms.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like farms and those
So
sort of
it'll be
things.
like
Rest stops.
a mango farm, for example, or it'll be a strawberry farm, or we drove past one and it was not very impressive on the outside of a farm when we were in North Queensland.
Maybe an apple.
It was like maybe, and it
Oh,
was
an
like,
avocado. Wasn't it an avocado?
yeah, and it was like maybe 6 foot tall. It was
You're
like,
Yeah.
I don't think we can call this the big avocado. I think this is the, slightly bigger than
This is
normal avocado.
A large avocado. It's not the big avocado.
I feel like the is the key word.
Well, that's it, because that really gives sort of an air of importance to it, doesn't it?
Exactly. Which it deserves. Especially when it's like 30 feet. When it's like the really big ones. Like the koala is a very impressive structure. Weird looking, but like it is huge.
It's when they're like the
Yeah.
size of a building. That's
Yeah.
when I feel like you
Yeah.
nailed it. Like I think Tasmania
Yeah.
has the giant teddy bear, and that's like a building that you can go inside.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's the goal.
That's what you want. That's the goal. Look, I think that we need to bind together, and we actually do need to make the big Scrooge McDuck figurine.
I'm on board. I'm in.
I'm on board, because at the moment it's only about 3 inches tall.
Yeah.
I want to turn this thing into a building. So let's get on
Do
that,
we need
shall
to
we?
contact Disney, or are we going to just make it
Nah,
far
we're
enough
fine.
away from what the statue looks like to make it?
Oh yeah, it'll be like the Scrunge McDork.
Or
That's what we'll call it.
similar, not the same. We could make a Goffin cockatoo. And we could put
Oh,
Batman
done.
mask on it.
Or if all this is too much work, I actually found out that there is one for sale at the moment.
Is there?
We could buy the big potato in Robertson.
Ooh.
The big potato, sometimes known as the big spud, or also sometimes known as the big turd, because it looks like a giant poo.
Oh, you've not sold it.
Well, I mean, that seems like a pretty, let's rename it the Big Poo and just see everyone come to the Big Poo, because that kids would definitely want to come see that.
It's hideous.
How much
We'll
is it?
put it-
Does say
we'll
how
put
much?
it up
That
on-
looks like a poo.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the Instagram for you to see.
Is it a building?
It is somewhat of a building. It looks like you can possibly go inside. There is a potato hotel somewhere else in the world too, I think. Anyway.
There's a more impressive. No offense to this one.
No, not more impressive than the big poo turd
There's a
spud.
similar.
Potato.
There's a similar vibe very
sure
cool looking potato in Sassafras, Tasmania, called the Big Spud. And I don't mean to be rude to the other big potato.
The other big potato's bigger.
But this big potato does have a hat.
Yeah, but it's smaller. And it's not a building.
And he's on a stick.
This goes back to our discussion about what defines a big thing.
Yeah, that is true.
So if we can raise $920,000, we can buy the land on which the big potato is on, and therefore own the big potato.
Okay, I mean, let's do it.
And then we would own our own big thing.
I mean, someone has, and I don't mean to be dramatic, put Mr. Potato Head features onto the big
so they have.
That's fantastic.
And that, I feel like, would be my goal.
I found out something in my research of the big potato to find, because this was in February last year. They were saying that it was for sale, and I couldn't find out if it's been purchased since. But I really wanted to find out. But I did find out that the town where that potato is actually where they filmed Babe, the film Babe.
Oh, really?
With the pig.
Oh, well, there we go.
But apparently, you know how a lot of towns, Edinburgh, for example, really takes on the films and they embrace them, and they do like tours. You know, you can do like the Game of Thrones tour.
Yeah.
Apparently, the filming company like really restricted this town and said you cannot have anything Babe here, like no Babe stuff.
Really?
So the big potato is like a something else for like people to come.
I'd be like, oh, this is just the normal pig shop.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I don't know how true that rumor is. It was definitely like a thing I saw on Facebook where like someone was like, well,
a trustworthy source, Sean.
Yeah, but apparently,
as you can always trust from us.
I do always love news. So
it's the only news I'll read.
If you've ever visited a town where a film was filmed and weren't allowed to talk about it, or if you found any other good news, we'd love to hear about it. So let us know either by emailing goodforachange@gmail.com or visiting our Facebook page. It's a group, and it's just search Good for a Change. It's with banana in the logo, and you can share good news on there with people from all over the world. If you're lucky, it may even appear on a future episode of the podcast, which is good for us because it means we have to do less work.
Hello, I'm Emily from Grab a Life by the Pom-Poms. I make woolen works of art for you to hang in your homes and make you happy. You can find me on Instagram and on Etsy. You just need to search Grab a Life by the Pom-Poms. And I would like to do a really, really big shout out and virtual hug to everyone who's ordered something from my Etsy store. You make me do a big happy dance whenever I get an order. So thank you.
Well, that was Spudtacular. Jarrod, tell me, what's Spudtacular in your life? What's good in your life at the moment?
What's Spudtacular? Okay, so I've got a book. I know we talked a little about books last week. I'm going to talk about a book again, but it's a different type of book.
Yeah.
I have The Art of Soul. So the new Pixar film Soul. Great movie, but I reckon probably the most visually stunning movie they've made.
Yeah.
And now, what a lot of people won't know is that I actually have an animation degree. Well, that's not true.
I don't.
And so, one thing that I really love about these films is looking at the art of them and seeing how they designed these characters and that it's designed the look of the film. So I bought The Art of Soul, and it's just fascinating going through all the different, like, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie.
Yes, we have.
But like the souls themselves, when they're in The Great Before, just going through the different designs on how they got to there and what they looked like first and how they got from, initial design to the final design. And I always find it really quite inspiring. Like, I read it yesterday, and then I sat down on my iPad last night, and I just drew for like an hour and a half, 2 hours watching TV. So I haven't bought one of these art of books in forever because I haven't really found recently a lot of films where I'm like, I want to know like the art behind that stuff. But as soon as I finished that movie, the first thing I did was go on Amazon and find that book and go, I need to see how they made that. And it's great. So I've got that. Some of the other ones I've got is like, Inside Out. That was one of those movies where I did it. I think Wreck-It Ralph I've got somewhere as well.
I feel like when it's the similarity between like Inside Out and Soul is they really go, especially when it's like these abstract ideas rather than like, this is a dog going on a journey.
Yeah.
The art is a little more avant-garde, and it's a little more, there's a little more depth and context to what you're seeing, which I think is a better viewing experience.
I found really interesting in this book is that they talk about these souls, and they say, how can we make it look like something we have never ever seen before, but still make it instantly recognizable?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a challenge that is. And I think they nailed it.
I think even like the way the film used like the two-dimensional characters and had, I thought that was really interesting and different out of a Pixar film, because Pixar films are so 3D. Like that's the thing about them, is that they've always been that like three-dimensional. So then to have these characters that are in essence
just lines,
I thought was a really interesting shift for Pixar.
So on Disney Plus, there's a series called Inside Pixar, where it's like 10-minute shorts. And they talk about those specific characters, the 2D ones. And basically the way they figured out how to make them move is someone sort of drew them like one line, and someone said, oh, that'd make a really great wire structure. And they went, okay, we want a wire structure made then from you in the next 3 days of like these characters. And she's like, I've never done it before in my life. And in doing that, they could sort of turn them around and go, oh, okay, that's how they'd look from this angle, that's how they'd look from that angle. Really interesting.
That's so funny that, in essence, a two-dimensional character still required a three-dimensional object to animate. How fascinating.
Hollie, what's good in your life?
Oh, I'll tell you what's good in my life. And honestly, it's about my favourite character. And I need you to not judge me. And I need you to be on board with this, okay?
Okay.
So Sean and I recently have been watching a lot of Bluey.
Yep, great show.
A lot of Bluey. And when I say I am obsessed with Bluey, that is a massive understatement. You've seen it?
I have, and if I can just say now, and I mean this wholeheartedly, this isn't a joke, the episode Grannies might be some of the best Australian comedy that's ever been made.
Ever made. It is literally...
It's what got us onto Bluey.
Yeah.
That episode is what got us onto Bluey.
Perfection. There's so many... I mean, there's a lot of episodes. I think it's been running since 2018.
The takeaway episode...
I don't think we've seen that one.
Where they're at the front. Oh, they're at the front of a Chinese restaurant. Brilliant.
Have you seen the Dad Baby episode?
Oh, Dad Baby is... Oh.
I don't know that I've seen Dad Baby. I watched recently the where they're playing taxi driver, and the dad's trying to get to the airport.
Incredible. I love it because I feel like the representation of play in that show is so on board with what I follow in my life,
and what we do for our children's theatre as well.
For a living.
That's the elements of our work that we can see reflected in that show, and it's nice to see that and to be like, yes, this is how important play is, and this is how important we should be listening to children.
And the other thing,
playing along with them.
I think the thing about Bluey that is so excellent, one, it's set in Queensland. It's also set, I think, literally in the town we live in. Very exciting, the suburb. Which I'm very excited. Sometimes I'll walk around and be like, maybe that one's Bluey's house. It's not.
But we keep knocking on the doors and it's getting a bit much.
Like, have you got a dog? Have you got four? Do they talk? The thing about Bluey that is so excellent is that the quality of the show... So visually, it looks, to a layman's eye, it looks like any other animated children's television show.
Yep.
To me, a year ago, I'd have been like, yeah, it's Bluey. It's whatever. It's like a kid's show. It is the quality of the music, the quality of the animation, the quality of the storytelling. It's 7-minute episodes, but the heart and the emotion that they can... I've cried to... I'm not embarrassed to admit that I have cried to at least 3 episodes of Bluey.
Me too. I'm not afraid to admit that I have got teary at the end of at least 3 episodes of Bluey.
So... It comes from such a place of heart.
Have you seen the one with... what's the dog's name? His name's like Pierre or something. He's French. And they're at a... Okay, so that one... All right, I won't tell you what happens. That one's a tearjerker.
Is it? Do you know which one? So the 2 main ones that made us cry is The Creek. The Creek is so beautiful. The Creek is just the most gorgeous representation of nature in Australia, and like experiencing nature for the first time and experiencing it in a way that like fills the heart with joy, in the way that like going to a forest or to a creek or to the beach does.
Yeah.
That made me cry. The other one that like really got me. Have you seen the episode where it's a little girl dog, and she starts the episode and she says, "I went to kindy and I was very shy. This is a story about how I made friends with Bingo."
Okay. I have not seen it.
And the whole thing is like, I think it's Daddy Drop Off.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
So they're doing Daddy Drop Off, they're running late, and it's this whole thing, and you kind of forget the dog at the beginning, but by the end, Bingo arrives and she makes friends with this other dog. A lot happens in between in the 7 minutes. But at the end, she was like, "And that was the day that I made friends with Bingo, and I hope we're friends forever." And then there's like a 4-second slideshow of these two dogs growing up until they graduate. And it is just the most...
I'm all goosebumpy thinking about it. It's just stupid. But that is how clever it is. Like, it can be funny 1 minute, and then it can turn it and make you like really feel really emotional the next.
It's just stunning.
Yeah. Look, if that got you, all I'll say is it's called Camping. I just looked it up. The episode Camping.
I'll write it down.
With a poodle named Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc I've heard of.
That is all I will say.
Cool. We will seek it out. I just love... There's just such great comedy moments, like in the episode Dad Baby, where Bingo is pretending to be a baby that's about to be born. So they and Bandit, the dad, is the mother. So they're preparing for birth, and Bandit turns to Bluey, and he's like, "Come on, Bluey, the baby's coming." And Bluey turns around and goes like, "Well, I can't help you. I'm not a midwife. I'm just her friend. I work at the petrol station." And I just think like
wonderful.
Nah, it's perfection.
It's just so what kids are like, which
Yeah.
I think is fantastic. It just captures that creative, weird, and always the names that they're inventing for their characters and stuff. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched Bluey, get on it, because
I'm
it's a
glad
good
we've
time.
given Bluey the
Yeah.
recognition it
Deserves
deserves.
it. I really resonate with Bingo as a character. I don't know if it's because I'm a younger sister.
Do you know, I think Bingo is a better character than
Yeah.
Bluey.
Yeah, and we
100%.
went to see the Bluey's big play at QPAC the other day, and I would say there was more love for Bingo than there was for Bluey in that environment, which makes sense because Bingo is a genius. I'm obsessed with Bingo.
It's just adorable.
Great. Well, thank you for listening to Bluey for a change.
I wish.
I wish.
I think that
Sean.
podcast exists.
Great. We're going to be on it. We're going to do a crossover episode.
Oh, we should.
But until then, Sean,
Yes.
what's good in your life?
We've recently been getting some of those food boxes that you get delivered to your house. And I won't name names because they're not sponsoring us yet, and I know it's the kind of company that does sponsor podcasts and stuff. So if you want to be in this podcast, you got to pay us money to get named.
Except for Bluey. I'll talk to Bluey until I go blue. Oh!
So we started getting these...
that joke was a real bingo.
We've started getting these delivery boxes of food, and we've had some pretty good successes with them. We've had some pretty tasty meals. But recently we had one, and it was quite surprising. I saw it on the list of recipes we could get, and I thought, ooh, give it a shot. It was a pizza, and it was a peach and halloumi and mint pizza.
Yum.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's a bit of a weird combination. One, because halloumi I don't picture to be like a melty cheese.
Melty cheese, yeah.
Peach is obviously a fruit, and enough people have an issue with putting pineapple on pizza, so I can't imagine what their thoughts are to putting peach on a pizza. And then mint, which isn't my favourite herb, but it also had like a Caribbean spice that you like mixed into the tomato sauce, and it had a...
Like honey.
Yeah, you
glaze.
mixed some honey glaze with that Caribbean spice and some salt and pepper and put that on the halloumi. And the halloumi did actually kind of melt a bit in the oven, which was interesting. And it was beautiful. It was a really nice pizza.
Really yummy pizza.
I saw, you put a photo of it up.
did.
It looked pretty tasty.
Yeah. And it was nice
Yeah.
because it was pretty easy to make. We've had two different food delivery boxes now, and I must say one has been much harder to make than the other one.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they do, tout themselves as being like super easy to make, and one of them I have been very frustrated at a number of times.
But you know what has been good with these? And I'm about to out myself as a 25-year-old who can't do this, but now I can. I've learnt to cook rice.
You couldn't. I mean, rice isn't hard to
No,
cook,
but
champ.
I used to. So we weren't big rice eaters in my house when I was a kid, so I just didn't really learn to cook it. And then when we lived in the UK, we'd use like the microwave rice, just like squeeze the bag.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this has changed the game for me. I am obsessed with cooking rice. I love cooking rice now.
Yeah, we make this really nice garlic buttery rice now, which is just mwah, chef's kiss.
Good. Well, I'm glad we've given rice the recognition it deserves too. This is great. We've given Pixar, Bluey, and rice all the recognition.
Very
it deserves.
underrated things that don't get it.
Things that don't get it.
We're like, what's good in your life? Oh, oxygen.
I like water.
Oh dear.
And I think, if I remember correctly, based on the last 2 seasons, that music means that we're at the end of the episode. Funny about that, isn't it?
Well, before we get there, I do have an
Yep.
update actually on last week's episode. And there's
Yep.
probably going to be more updates as we go. But at least one of the Mars missions has made it to Mars and has entered the Mars orbit.
Do you know which one?
Yes, it is the United Arab Emirates Hope
Well,
satellite.
that only needed to orbit, didn't it?
Yes.
So that feels like it was the safest of the 3.
Yeah. So that
Yeah, I
has
was going to
arrived.
say, we haven't got the 7 minutes of terror for that one,
No,
have
I
we?
don't think so. But it has sent its message to say, like, I'm here.
What a good egg.
So
Oh,
that's
good.
exciting. So it's starting its year of orbiting around Mars now and checking out what's going on with the atmosphere.
Same.
Excellent. Well, look, I've got a very quick update as well about my fossil.
Yep.
It is now a week older than it was.
Wow. I don't have any updates on the cockatoos except for they're coming to your house.
They're coming to your house to kill
They're
you.
coming to get you.
I'm going to give that... You know what? I would watch that movie.
No.
Would you watch that movie?
The birds have eyes.
What?
That's from Schitt's Creek.
The birds have
Look,
eyes. 3.
look, I do love me some Schitt's Creek. I'd give that thing 5 stars.
Oh, obviously I give it 5 stars and several Emmys.
Yes.
Same as
how
this
many...
podcast, to be honest.
Well, I mean, exactly right. I mean, well, the good thing is about Schitt's Creek is that we don't have to give it 5 stars, but we choose to because it's so
Yeah.
good. I mean, this show is just as good as
If
Schitt's
not
Creek.
better.
If not better.
They call me the Dan Levy of podcast making.
They really don't. But you too can give this thing 5 stars. In fact, you kind of have to, Hollie.
It is the law, yeah. No, we have had it written into government law. So if you are listening to the podcast, you will have to give the podcast 5 stars. It is also important to note that with the various citizenships at the table, we have written it into the law of all of the citizenship countries.
I will be heading to the UN next week to get it into the Geneva Convention. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what that... Yeah,
it's going to the
in
Geneva
there.
Convention that you have to give the thing 5 stars, no matter where in the world you are.
You can find our Facebook group at Good for a Change Podcast. Join it. Share some good news with us. We'd love to hear it. Or follow us on Instagram to see all those visual elements at Good for a Change Podcast. Lots of bonus material for you to see
Yeah,
there.
just Google us.
Yeah.
We're around.
Yeah, give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've said it now.
Look who's Can you calm down with that, Sean? Can you please not tell people they have to do 5
Sean,
stars?
gosh,
Calm
that's
down,
really
big guy.
pushy, actually. Calm down.
Yeah, mate. All right. I've had enough of this. Anyway, thank you very much, Hollie.
Thank you, Jarrod.
Thank you very much, Sean.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jarrod. You're welcome.
Until next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.